Accountants of Kenya.
Karibu CPA, not seeing the National Treasury and the control of budget, but they're part of this committee. They should be joining us in due course. Governor Siaya, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is James Orengo, Governor Siaya. I have several colleagues and I'll ask them to self-introduce.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Joseph Ogutu, County Secretary.
Morning, Chair. My name is George Ningiro, CC Finance and Economic Planning. Chair.
Chair, my name is Okanda Leonard, County Solicitor.
Morning, Chair. My name is Jack Odinga, Chief Officer Finance.
Morning, Chair. My name is Christine Okop, Director Finance.
Good morning, Chair. My name is Enoch Odhiambo, Head of Financial Reporting.
Morning, Chair, members. I'm Lord Jared, Director Public Works. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. Bethel Omondi, Accountant, Financial Reporting.
Morning, Chair. My name is Bernard Alaru, Accountant, Financial Reporting Unit.
Morning, Chair. My name is Moses Okothkea, Director Revenue.
Morning, Chair. I'm Jekonaya Omondi, Head of Payroll Management.
Morning, Chair. Cyrus Oguna, Chief of Staff.
Morning, Chair. Martin Okwata, Director Supply Chain Management.
Morning, Chair and members. Matthew Zorwa, License Officer.
So that's it for the delegation from the county executive. I've seen some faces that I usually see in the county assembly. The Chair Public Accounts Committee of Siaya County Assembly. Please go on record.
Good morning, Chair. My name is William Kinyani, Chairman Park.
Are you with other members of your committee?
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
Morning, Chair. My name is David Ragen, Vice Chair, Public Accounts Committee, Siaya County Assembly.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Regina Koth, the Committee Clerk to the Park Committee.
That is it for the Assembly delegation. You are welcome, Chairman, and the rest of the honorable members. Now, we'll proceed to the next order. But before we execute the next order, which is administration of oath and tabling of documents, honorable members, the Governor of Siaya, Governor James Orengo, was compelled to appear before this committee by way of summons. And I want the clerk just to cite the summons and just take us through what we required. Please read the summons. We first deal with that.
Thank you, Chair. The summons to Honorable James Orengo, EJH Governor for Siaya. Whereas pursuant to Standing Order number 193, 2, Section B of the State Standing Orders, the County Public Accounts Committee is mandated, that is as outlined in Standing Order 193, and whereas by a notice published in the Standard newspaper and the Daily Nation newspapers on Thursday, 8th January 2026, and via a letter reference Senate /DGAC /CPAC /CE 2026 2023 number 23, dated 29th January 2026. The committee invited you to appear before it on 9th February 2026 to consider the Auditor General's report on the financial statements of the County Executive of Siaya for the financial year 2024-2025, the report on receipt of revenue statements, and the report on the County Revenue Fund for the County Executive of Siaya for the financial year 2024-2025, and to submit written responses and supporting documentation to the issues raised in the said reports of the Auditor General. And further, whereas via the letter reference SYA/CPAC/169/volume.1 in brackets 134 dated 2nd February 2026, Mr. Joseph Ogutu MBS, the County Secretary, Siaya County Government, requested the committee to reschedule the meeting slated for 9th February 2026 to a later date in February due to unforeseen circumstances which required your personal attention. And whereas the committee acceded to your request and by a letter referenced Senate DIGAC CPAC CE 2026 number 46 dated 10th February 2026, the committee informed you of its resolution to reschedule the meeting to a future date. And further, whereas by a letter reference Senate DIGAC CPAC CE 2026 number 76 dated 4th March 2026, the committee rescheduled the meeting and invited you to appear before it on 12th March 2026. And whereas by the letter reference CGS OCS CPAC 169 volume .2 in brackets 10 dated 5th March 2026, Mr. Joseph Ogutu MBS, the County Secretary, Siaya County Government, requested the committee to postpone the meeting scheduled for 12th March 2026 to a later date as you preferred to appear before the Senate County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee, which had invited you to appear before it on the same date. And further, whereas the committee at its meeting on 12th March 2026 considered and declined the request for postponement. And whereas you failed to honor the committee's invitation to appear before it on 12th March 2026. And further, whereas Article 125 of the Constitution and Sections 18 and 20 of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act Cap 6 Laws of Kenya empower the Senate and any of its committees to summon any person to appear before it for the purpose of giving evidence or providing information. Now, therefore, the County Public Accounts Committee summons you to appear before the committee in person at a meeting to be held on Monday, that's today, 30th March 2026 at committee room number 9, second floor, Bunge Tower, Nairobi at 9 a.m. The committee further requires on there it were outlined how the documentation should be sent out to the clerk of the Senate, CPAC, and also copied to the Auditor General. Take note that should you fail to appear before the committee on the date and time specified in this summons or to produce the documentation required by the committee, number 1, the committee may impose upon you a fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings or may order for your arrest pursuant to Section 19(1) and 3 respectively of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act Cap 6 Laws of Kenya. And number 2, you may also be guilty of an offence in terms of Section 27 (1) bracket A bracket I and C bracket 2 respectively of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act Cap 6 Laws of Kenya, for which you shall be liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 200,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 6 months or to both such fine and imprisonment, given under my hand for and on behalf of the County Public Accounts Committee on this day on 19th March 2026, signed by the Clerk of the Senate, Mr. Jeremiah Nyegenya. Thank you, Chair.
So I think what the clerk has just read is the summons that were issued. We required two things. We required the Governor of Siaya to appear before the committee, and the Governor of Siaya is before the committee. We also required the Governor of Siaya to circulate certain documents ahead of the committee meeting. Auditor General, were documents circulated to you as required by the summons?
We had actually received the documents earlier because we had received them on 2nd February 2026.
So as far as production of documents is concerned, that has been complied with?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So before we proceed to the next order, which is administration of oath, we required, first of all, the governor to appear before this Senate, and orders of the Senate or summons issued by the Senate, I think are at the same level as summons issued by the courts. And the governor being a well-known legal practitioner, it would have been strange if you had to defy the summons of the Senate. So to that extent, I think we don't need to get into too much debate because we are here. Now we need to agree, now that you are compelled to appear by summons, are you ready for us to prosecute the substantive agenda? Governor.
First of all, the record is correct as stated out in the summons, save for the fact that the invitation immediately prior to the summons was at a time when we had other invitations to appear before various Senate committees. And we did not choose not to come to this committee for any particular reason, save the fact that we had received the invitation from one of the committees before we received the one from this committee. So no disobedience was intended. Mr. Chairman, I will never want to defy orders or directions given by legitimate authority under the law or the Constitution. So I made sure that I answered this summons and appear as required. Secondly, on the second question, I know the committee is aware that there is a current stalemate between us as governors through the Council of Governors and the Senate about appearing before this committee. And I was seeking the indulgence of the committee that having produced the documents, I would not be comfortable moving any further step in defiance of the resolution of the Council of Governors, and urge that this committee, together with the Council of Governors, resolve that question. So I begged to decline to move beyond the appearance and decline to take the oath for further processes before this committee.
Honourable members, there is the issue of contempt, which has been purged by appearance, but then there is the other substantive work that we are supposed to do, which is the constitutional mandate granted under Article 229 of the Constitution. If the governor finds himself in a situation where he is not ready to proceed, then I think we have no option but to adjourn this meeting and deliberate and advise on the way forward. I think the easier thing would have been if the governor was ready to present his written responses, having taken the oath, we would have considered those written responses. But in a case where the governor is unwilling to proceed to take the oath and table the documents, then I believe as a committee we have taken a position on that. But what is important is that I think demonstrating that when the Senate summons you, it is not an invitation to a birthday that you can accept or deny. It is a constitutional obligation, and I hope that the other governors would also do so. We cannot build a society where the rule of law is not upheld. If everyone was to defy court orders, and if everyone was to defy directions and orders of Parliament, then it will be chaos, it will be anarchy. So unless there is any other comment, because if the entity is not ready to proceed and we have a very busy day, then the most likely recourse is to adjourn and take a position and communicate to the entity. Any other? I think in the absence of further views from the members, this meeting will adjourn. It goes on record that the contempt has been purged by the appearance of the governor, but the substantive issues have not been deliberated on. I think that's a record that we shall maintain. We therefore adjourn the meeting, and Governor, we shall communicate on the decision of the committee on the substantive issues. Honourable members, I request that we, having adjourned, we don't move out of the room. We convene to deal with the next entity.